Alright guys, we are on Hidden Figures and we are on chapter 17, and this is called Writing a Textbook on Space. The staff at the Langley Research Center had very few resources to teach engineers about outer space. To bring the entire laboratory up to speed, Catherine Gobble's branch chief organized a lecture series to take place from February to May of 1958. He asked his team, the engineers in the Flight Research and the Pilot List Aircraft Research Division, to present the lectures on a range of topics from the solar system to problems with outer space into Earth's atmosphere. The lectures were a crash course on all things aeronautics. Catherine Gobble loved learning everything she could about space travel. She was delighted when the engineers in her group assigned her the task to prepare charts for the use in the space technology lectures. In essence, she was helping the engineers write their first real textbook about outer space. Always curious, Catherine listened to everything her coworkers said. She read every word of the magazines about flight. She drained every drop of knowledge from the engineers she worked with, but that wasn't enough. The real action, she knew, was taking place in the lectures and the editorial meetings, which were happening in gatherings behind private doors, where engineers reviewed and discussed the most recent research reports. She wanted to be part of those talks, but the men in charge would not allow it. A place at the table. Building an airplane was nothing compared to getting research through Langley's literature review process. Present your case, build it, sell it, so they believe it. That was the Langley way. Authors of the NASA technical report had to talk about their research and give a lot of information to convince everyone that their theory was correct. Then they faced questions from 4 or 5 people chosen for their expertise on the topic. Sometimes these questions were really tough. The committee members looked for inaccuracies, inconsistencies, incomprehensible statements, and illogical conclusions in the report. After clearing the technical hurdles, a report went through a style, clarity, and grammatical check. A final report might take months or even years. Catherine Gobble sat down with the engineers to review the requirements for the space technology lectures and the research reports that were coming out of the presentation. She asked lots of questions so that she could completely understand the problem set before her. Why can't I go into the editorial meeting, she asked. Girls don't go to the meetings, the colleague said. Is there a law against it, she asked. There wasn't, of course. It wasn't personal, the engineers told her. It was just the way things had been before. The no women rule was a matter of practice, not policy. Langley gave each division chief and branch head the power to manage their own groups. These male bosses decided whether a woman was promoted, if she got a raise, or if she was permitted to attend a meeting. Women at Langley had to learn how to work with men. They needed to be polite, but not so polite they seemed timid. For the most part, men were engineers and the women were computers. Men did the analytical thinking and women were the mathematicians, doing the calculations. Men gave the orders and women took the notes. Unless an engineer was given a compelling reason to see a woman as a peer, she remained in his blind spot. Even the smartest women might get stuck doing repetitive, human drum work unless someone paid attention and gave her a chance. Women like Catherine Gobble found their work interesting, just like the men did. For the women who found their true calling at NASA, they matched their male colleagues in curiosity, passion, and the ability to withstand pressure. The problem was that women had to get over the high hurdle of low expectations. They needed to prove that they were just as good as the men and should be held to the same standard and given the same opportunities. Whatever personal insecurities Catherine Gobble may have had about being a woman working with men or about being one of the few blacks in the white workspace, she didn't let them bother her. Male or female, black or white, as far as Catherine Gobble was concerned, once she got to the office, they were all the same. Why can't I go to the editorial meetings? Catherine Gobble asked again. On the issue, like any other, she kept questioning until she received a satisfactory answer. Her request came across as gentle but persistent. She wasn't going to let the issue drop. The greatest adventure in history of humankind was happening in the office next door, and she wanted to be part of it. Let her go, one of the men finally said. I'm having trouble. The others agreed, no doubt tired of saying no. Who were they? They must have figured, to stand in the way of someone so committed to making a contribution? In 1958, Catherine Gobble finally made it to the editorial meetings of the Guidance and control branch of Langley's Flight Research Division, soon to be renamed the Aerospace Mechanics Division of NASA. She took her place at the table where she knew she belonged. She had a lot to learn and a lot to offer. So why do you think Catherine wanted to be in these meetings so bad? She was having to write part of this textbook, but do you think it affected her when she couldn't be in the meetings when everybody else is talking about these things and she's on the outside?